පමාදේන මයා කතං අච්චයං කමමේ ධම්ම සන්දිට්ඨික අකාලික කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අච්චයං කමමේ සංඝ සුපටිපන්න අනුත්තර ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා. මේ සමගම පිරිසූත්‍රයකුත් දේශනා කිරීම සඳහා මාස් සමගම සම්බන්ධ වෙන්න. කරණීය මත්ත කුසලේන යන්තං සන්තං පදං අபிසමෙච්ච සක්කෝ උජුච සුජුච සුවාචෝ චස්ස මුදු අනතිමානි සන්තොස්සකෝච සුභරෝච අප්පකිච්චෝච සල්ලව්කවුත්ති සන්තේන්ද්‍රියෝච නිපකෝච අප්පගබ්බෝ කුලේසු අනනුගිද්දෝ නචකුද්දං සමාචරේ කිංචියේන විඤ්ඤෝපරේ උපවදෙය්‍යං සුඛිනෝ වාඛේමිනෝ හන්තෝ සබ්බේ සත්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතත්තා යේකේචිපාන භූතත්ති තසාවා ධාවරාවා අනවසේසා දීඝාවායේ මහන්තාවා මජ්ජිමාරස්ස කානුකතුලා දිට්ඨාවායේව අද්දිට්ඨා යේච දුරේ වසන්ති අවිදුරේ භූතාවා සම්භවේසීවා සබ්බේ සත්තා භවන්තු සුඛිතත්තා නපරෝ පරංනිකුබ්බේත නාතිමඤ්ඤේත කත්තචිනංකංචී ව්‍යාරෝසනා පටිග සංඥා නාඤ්ඤමඤ්ඤස්ස දුක්ඛමෙච්චය මාතා යථානියං පුත්තං ආයුසා ඒක පුත්ත මනුරක්ඛේ ඒවම්පි සබ්බ භූතේසු මාන සම්භාවයේ අපරිමාණං මෙත්තංච සබ්බ ලෝකස්මින් මාන සම්භාවයේ අපරිමාණං උද්ධං අදෝච තිරියංච අසංබාධං අවේරං අසපත්තං තිට්ඨං චරං නිසින්නෝවා සයානෝවා යාවතස්ස විගත මිද්දෝ ඒතං සතින් අදිට්ඨේය බ්‍රහ්මමේතං විහාරං ඉදමාහෝ දිට්ඨිංච අනුපගම්ම සීලවා දස්සනේන සම්පන්නෝ කාමේසු විනෙය්‍යගේධං නහි ජාතු ගබ්බසෙය්‍යං පුනරේතිති ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සොත්තිතේ හෝතු සබ්බදා ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සොත්තිතේ හෝතු සබ්බදා ඒතේන සච්ච වජ්ජේන සොත්තිතේ හෝතු සබ්බදා භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්칸තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන සදාසොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්칸තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදාසොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්칸තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදාසොත්ති භවන්තු තේ නක්ඛත් යක්ඛ භූතානං පාපග්ගහ නිවාරණා පරිත්ත පරිත්තස්සානුභාවේන සදාසුත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්칸තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදාසුත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්칸තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදාසුත්ති භවන්තු තේ නක්ඛත් යක්ඛ භූතානං පාපග්ගහ නිවාරණා පරිත්තස්සානුභාවේන සදාසුත්ති භවන්තු තේ නක්ඛත් යක්ඛ භූතානං පාපග්ගහ නිවාරණා පරිත්තස්සානුභාවේන අන්තු තේ සංඋපද්දවේ නක්ඛත් යක්ඛ භූතානං පාපග්ගහ නිවාරණා පරිත්තස්සානුභාවේන අන්තු තේ සංඋපද්දවේ සබ්බේ බුද්ධා බලප්පත්තා පච්චේකානංච යං බලං අරහන්තානංච තේජේන රක්ඛං බන්ධාමි සබ්බසෝ අභිවාදන සීලෙස්ස නිච්ඡං වද්ධාපචායිනෝ චත්තාරෝ ධම්මා වඩ්ඩන්ති ආයුවන්නෝ සුඛං බලං ආයුරාෝග්‍ය සම්පatti සග්ග සම්පatti මේවච අතෝ නිබ්බාන සම්පatti ඉමිනාතේ සමිජ්ජතු ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්칸තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්칸තු දේශනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවානාගා මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්칸තු ත්වං සදා දේවෝවස්සතු කාලේන සස්ස සම්පත්තිහේතුච පීතෝ භවතු ලෝකෝච රාජා භවතු ධම්මිකෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා ඉමිනා පුඤ්ඤ කම්මේන මාමේ බාල සමාගමෝ සතං සමාගමෝ හෝතු යාව නිබ්බානපත්තියා අද මේ සියලුම කාරුණික පින්වතුන් පංචශීලයේ සමාදන් වෙලා එහෙම නැත්නම් අෂ්ටාංග සීලයේ සමාදන් වෙලා එහෙමත් නැත්නම් දස සීලයේ සමාදන් වෙලා ඊ타ත්ම ගුණගරුක සිල්ලතුන් පිරිසක් බවට පත් වෙලා තමයි අද මේ පොය දවස ගත කරන්නේ මේ පොය දවස වෙනුවෙන් ජීවිතය කැප කරන්නේ අපේ නොයෙකුත් කාර්යයන් සිද්ධ කර ගැනීම සඳහා අපි හැම කෙනෙකුටම අපේ ජීවිතයේ නොයෙක් ආකාරයේ කැපකිරීම් සිද්ධ කරන්නට සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඒ කැපකිරීම් නිසා තමයි යම් දේවල් අපට සඵල කර ගැනීමට හැකියාව ලැබිලා තියෙන්නේ. ඒ නිසා ඒ හැකියාවෙන් උපරිම ප්‍රයෝජනයක් ගන්නට අද දවසේ මේ ලෞතුරා බුදු පියාණන් වහන්සේ වෙනුවෙන් උන්වහන්සේ දේශනා කළ සුහාසුද්දාසක් 84000ක් ධර්මස්කන්ධය වෙනුවෙන් ආර්ය වූ මහා සංඝරත්නය වෙනුවෙන් අද දවස මම ජීවිතේ කැප කරලා තියෙන්නේ කියලා මේ අය අදිෂ්ඨානයක් ඇති කර ගන්නට ඕන. ඒ විතරක් නෙවෙයි. ඒ අදිෂ්ඨානයේ තුල අපි සමාදන් වෙච්චි ශික්ෂා පදයන් පිළිබඳවත් Taman තුල ලොකු අවබෝධයක් තියෙන්නට ඕන. ඒ අවබෝධය නොමැතිනම් ඒ Taman පොරොන්දු වුණු ඒ ශික්ෂා පදයන් රැක ගැනීමට අපොහොසත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ නිසා නිතරම ලෞතර බුදු පියාණන් වහන්සේ දේශනා කළේ සිහි කල්පනාවෙන් කටයුතු කරන්නට කියලානේ. අපමාදේත සම්පාදේත. අපමාදයෙන් සම්පාදේත. අප්‍රමාදීව අප්‍රමාද කියන වචනයෙන් අදහස් කරන්නේ සිහි කල්පනාවෙන් කටයුතු කරන්නට කියන එකයි. එතකොට අද දවස පිළිබඳව වචනයක් දෙකක් අපි කල්පනා කරලා කතා කළොත් ඉතාමත්ම වටිනා පුණු පොහෝ දවසක් බුද්ධ චරිතය හා සම්බන්ධ සිදුවීම් රාශියක්ම සිද්ධ වෙච්චි වැදගත් ඓතිහාසික පුණු පොහෝ දවසක් හැටියට සලකන්නට පුළුවන්. මැදින් පුණු පොහෝ දවස. ලෞතුරා සම්මා සම්බුද්ධ රාජ්‍ය අත්පත් කරගත්තට පස්සේ ලෞතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ කිඹුල්වත්පුරයෙන් නික්මිලා ඉතාමත්ම දීර්ඝ ගමනක් යෙදිලා ඉතාමත්ම ඈත දනව්වක ලෞතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ තමන්ගේ ශාසනික ධර්ම මෙහෙවර සිද්ධ කරමින් සිටපු අවස්ථාවක්. ඒ වගේම බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ දැක ගැනීම සඳහා තවත් පිරිසක් මහත් උද්‍යෝගයකින් කටයුතු කරපු අවස්ථාවක්. මොකද්ද මේ අවස්ථාව? සිද්ධාර්ථ ගෞතම යන් වහන්සේගේ සදාදරණීය පියතුමන් සුද්ධෝදන රජතුමා තමන්ගේ පුතණුවන් දකින්නට ඒ බුද්ධත්වය අවබෝධ කරගත්තු ලෞතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ දැක ගැනීම සඳහා හුඟක් ආසාවෙන් බලාපොරොත්තුවෙන් හිටිය. එතුමා පමණක් නෙවෙයි රජ මන්දිරයේ වාසය කරපු ඒ සියලුම අය තමන්ගේ පුංචි අම්මා ඒ වගේම ඒ ගිහි කාලේ තමන්ගේ බිසව යශෝදරා ඒ වගේම ඒ මහා ප්‍රජාපති ගෝතමීගේ පුතණුවන් නන්ද කුමාරයා රාහුල කුමාරයා ආදි කොට ඇති සියලුම නෑදෑ හිත මිත්‍රයෝ ලෞතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ දැක ගැනීමට බොහොම ආසාවෙන් හිටියේ. නමුත් උන්වහන්සේ හිටියේ ගව් ගානක් ඈත ඉතාමත්ම ප්‍රත්‍යන්ත ප්‍රදේශයක. සුද්ධෝදන රජතුමා කිහිප විටක්ම උන්වහන්සේට පණිවිඩය යවුවා. දැන් මාස ගානක් ගිහිල්ලා තියෙනවා, මාස 9-10ක් බුද්ධත්වයේ ලැබලා අපි බලාපොරොත්තු වෙනවා ලෞතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ කිඹුල්වත්පුරයට වඩී කියලා නැවත. නමුත් ඒ ඇරපු පණිවුඩ ගෙන ගිය අය සහ ඒ අය සමග ගිය අනිකුත් පිරිසුත් බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ ගාවට ගිහිල්ලා ගියපු කාරණේ අමතක කරලා ධර්මය ශ්‍රවණය කරලා ඒ අය මහාන වෙන්න පටන් ගන්නවා. ඉතින් කිහිප සැරයක්ම මේ විදියට මේ පිරිස් යව්වා. නමුත් ගිය හැම පිරිසක්ම ලෞතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ හම්බ වෙලා උන්වහන්සේට වැඳ නමස්කාර කරලා උන්වහන්සේගේ ධර්මය අහලා ඒ වගේම මහාන උපසම්පදාව ලබාගෙන කටයුතු කරනවා. අර ගිය කාරණය කවුරුවත් ප්‍රකාශ කරන්න බුද්ධ ගෞරවය නිසා. මේ විදියට කීප විටක්ම බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ දැකගන්නට ආසාාවෙන් රජතුමා පනිවුඩ රාසියක්ම යැව්වා. අන්තිමට තමයි තමන් සමඟ එකම දවසේ උපදනු කාලුදායි කියන ඇමතියා තවත් පිරිසක් සමඟ නැවතත් රජ්ජුරුව අවසාන වසයෙන් බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ හමුවට යැව්වා. එයින් පස්සේ තමයි ඒ අයත් මහන වෙලා නමුත් ආපු කාරණය ලෝතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේට දැන්නවා. රජතුමා ඇතුළුවේ සියලු පිරිස නෑදෑ හිතමිත්‍රාදීන් ඔබහන්සේ බලාපොරොත්තුවයෙන් කටයුතු කරනවා. ඒ නිසා මේ කාලසීමාව තමයි ඔබහන්සේට කිඹුලත්පුරයට වඩින්ට සුදුසුම අවස්ථාව. ඒ නිසා අනුකම්පා කරලා එහි වඩින්ටේ කියලා. එතකොට මේ කතා ප්‍රවෘතියේ තව නොයෙක් දේවල් කතා කරන්නට තියෙනවා. දැම් මේ අවස්ථාව හැටියට මිට වඩා වෙලාවක් නැහැ. ඒ පිළිබඳව සාකච්ඡා කරන්නට අප බලමු සවස්සරුවි. දැම් මේ පින්නතුන් කල්පනා කරන්නට අෂ්ටාංග සීලයේ දස සීලයේ සමාදන් වෙලා ලෝතුරා බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ උදෙසා මල් පහන් සුවඳදුම් ගිලම්පස බුද්ධ පූජාවන් පවත්වල විශාල ආනිසංස ධර්මයක් අත්පත් කරගත්තා. මේ අත්පත් කරගත්තා වූ මේ උතුම් වූ පුණ්‍ය සම්භාර ධර්මයන්ගේ බලයෙන් ශක්තියෙන් මේ හැම පින්වතුකුගේම ජීවිතයේ වාසනාවන්ත කර ගැනීම සඳහා රත්නත්‍රයේ ආශිර්වාදය දෙවියන්ගේ ආරක්ෂාරක වර්ණයත් නුවඩුවම සැලසේවා. අවසානයේදී අපි සියලු දෙනාම ප්‍රාර්ථනා කරන බෝධියකින් නිවන් සුව සාදා ගැනීම සඳහා මේ පින් අපි සියලු දෙනාටම හේතු වාසනා වේවා කියලා සාදු කියලා පින් අනුමෝදන් වෙන්න. එත්තාවතාච අම්මේහි සම්භතම් පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ දේවා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා. එත්තාවතාච අම්මේහි සම්භතම් පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ භූතා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා. එත්තාවතාච අම්මේහි සම්භතම් පුඤ්ඤ සම්පදං සබ්බේ සත්තා අනුමෝදන්තු සබ්බ සම්පත්ති සිද්ධියා. සියලු දෙනාටම රත්නත්‍රේ පිහිටා ආශිර්වාදය සැලසේවා. දැන් පොඩි වෙලාවක් විවේකයක් ලබා ගන්න.
Samanta Chakravalesu Atra Gachantu Devata Saddhammang Munirajasa Sunantu Saggamokkadang Dhammasavana Kalu Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalu Ayang Bhadanta Dhammasavana Kalu Ayang Bhadanta Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa Chakkhunca uso paticca rupeca uppajjati chakku viññānaṁ Tinnang sanghati passo phassa paccaya vedanām Yang vedeti tang sanjanati Yang sanjanati tang vitakketi Yang vitakketi tang papancheti Tato nidanang purisang papancha sanya sankha samudacharanti Chakku viññesu rupesu atita nagata pacchuppannesu rupesu sotanca uso paticca saddeca uppajjati soca viññānaṁ Gananca uso paticca gandeca uppajjati gana viññānaṁ Jivhanca uso paticca raseca uppajjati jivha viññānaṁ Kāyanca uso paticca pottabhanca uppajjati kāya viññānaṁ Mananca uso paticca dhammeca uppajjati mano viññānaṁ Tinnang sangati passo passa paccaya vedana Yang vedeti tang sanjanati Yang sanjanati tang vitakketi Yang vitakketi tang papancheti Yang papancheti tato nidanang purisang papancha sanya Sankha samudacharanti Atita nagata pacchuppannesu mano viññeyesu dhammesu. Good morning, everyone. Today is the Medin full moon day. In a place and time where we are very busy making ends meet, we have very little time to learn and practice Dhamma. And out of all the people in the world, millions of them, millions and millions, only the Buddhist who had the urgency to learn Dhamma and practice Dhamma. Because the emphasis of learning Dhamma and practicing Dhamma is given so much in the teachings of the Buddha, and therefore in the Buddhist culture. Therefore, we as Buddhists try to find any opportunity to learn and practice Dhamma. And the problem is that we don't have too much opportunity to learn and practice Dhamma, because in this culture, we are expected to be busy with many other things related to secular life that is related to generating wealth and consuming that wealth. And to generate wealth in the modern world, there are so many things that is involved. Nowadays, so much of technology is involved, and that includes all the tools like computers and TVs and radios and vehicles that we use for going from place to place and getting things done that are important to us for our generating of wealth. Even the constant contact with other people and other activities that we have to participate is regarded as important. And therefore, in our culture, we say, oh, I have been very busy. Oh, we are very busy this time. Oh, I was very busy at that time. Things like that we hear all the time. That busyness is related to our struggle to live and live happily. If I don't make the phone call that I was supposed to make to my brother or to my co-worker or to my family member or someone who is related to things that we are doing, if we miss that phone call, that could be very harmful, bring negative effect on us. Therefore, we think that phone call is very important and we have to make that phone call, and that is something that I have to do. And then this way, we keep our life so busy in the modern world. But actually, 2000 years ago, when the Buddha was alive and teaching Dhamma, they were also exactly the same. Although we are using so many tools and other things that make our life busier, they also had so many things to do. And sometimes when the people come to see the Buddha, after having a little short discussion, they say, "Venerable Sir, we are very busy and this is the time for us to leave." And they bow to the Buddha and leave, maybe as soon as they get an opportunity during the discussion with the Buddha regarding the Dhamma or something. And basically it is a common human nature. But if we know the value or the importance of knowing Dhamma and practicing Dhamma. We find some valuable time for that because it has already become a priority in our life when we know that learning and practicing Dhamma is equally important than our struggle to make our ends meet. So, more you learn the Dhamma, more you see the importance of learning the Dhamma more. Because learning Dhamma means learning everything related to life. Everything related to life is also can be understood. Everything related to mind. When mind is properly understood, life is properly understood. When life is properly understood, the mind is properly understood. When you say our lives, that means we are constantly connected with our family members and all the other related activities of our lives. And when we understand the life, we understand the meaning or the importance of having good relationships. Without having good relationship, life becomes very difficult. But most people don't understand that if they don't look at life. Looking at life means looking at Dharma. So when you understand Dharma, you begin to see that your life become very difficult and you would not be able to reach the desired goal of life. What is the desired goal of life? Sukha, comfort, and happiness, and peace. These are the things that we all want to achieve in our lives. Normally, we work so hard, try to get things done, mainly for the purpose of achieving happiness, achieving peace. But that does not mean that is the right way of achieving means that is actually bringing the peace or happiness is not sure. But we do. We do engage in many different things in life, thinking that we can achieve happiness. But by learning the Dhamma, you begin to see if you really want to achieve happiness and peace of mind, there are certain other ways that wise people engaged in as opposed to common people. Asutava putujjano. Asutava means unlearned, uneducated. Putujjano means common people. Gamika Purisa is another word that Buddha used. Gamika Purisa means villagers, unsophisticated people. But the sophisticated people, educated people, learned people behave differently, do different things to achieve that peace and happiness that everybody is looking for. Now, today, few of us decided to sit down and have a peaceful time as opposed to a very busy time, very complicated day. Some of us decided to spend a simple day. You change your clothes to simple clothes like white or something, or even without it. You try to sit and pay attention to something that calm the mind, bring the peace to the mind. Paying homage to the Buddha, paying attention to the teachings of the Buddha, or sitting quietly in a corner without physically or mentally getting busy, calming the mind. Today is a day for retreat, meaning those are the things that we engaged in that does not make our lives more complicated and busy. As a result, we become more peaceful. And in our ancient culture, Uposatha Day. Uposatha Day is retreat day. Full moon day is also called Uposatha Day. But in a month, there are 4 Uposatha days. What are the 4? The full moon and the new moon. And then both quarters have weekends, full moon and moon related break time. So this Uposatha, there are 4 Uposathas. One time in Sri Lanka, we tried to use Uposatha days as holidays instead of Saturday and Sunday. The full moon and new moon and both ends terms of the moon. So it is like 4 times a week, 4 times a month. And Buddhist and spiritual people in India, I think thought it is very important to take time and engaged in calming activities, spiritual activities like observing precepts and practicing meditation and things like that 4 times a week. The idea was once you spend more time in practicing, you become good at it. That is what we call practice in Buddhism. More you practice, better you become at it. So then, compared to other world religions, Buddhism is the one that we use practice the most. Place of worship is a common word for the church or the temple. But in Buddhism, place of not worship, but place of practice. Why? When you practice, you become good at it. Even listening to the Dhamma, you have to have practice. Because when you hear something that is taught by the Dhamma speaker, even the Buddha who teaches Dhamma, those people who listen has to pay attention, and you have to have practice for attention and paying attention. And then you have to have the practice to quickly pay attention to what is said in the first second, and you have to learn to pay attention to what is said in the second and the third second and the fourth second. But in our case, sometimes we get stuck with what we heard in the first second, and we start pondering and thinking and contemplating on what is said in the first second. Then the second, third second, and fourth second, all you miss because you didn't have the practice of listening to the teacher, listening to the Buddha. It happens. So therefore, a lot of people did not get the complete meaning of the teachings of the Buddha when the Buddha finished the Dhamma talk. And sometimes they don't have enough background knowledge to understand certain things. Especially when the Buddha speak about something complicated about life, if you have not paid attention to these things earlier, not thought about these things earlier, then when you first time you hear the teachings, you may not understand the meanings of what the Buddha said. But the well-prepared listener is different. When the Buddha speak in brief, one sentences or two sentences, the listener understand in 1,000 times. Dahasak 9. Dahasak 9 means when Buddha says one thing, the listener understand it in 1,000 terms. That's a good listener. But we are not like that. Good students are like that. They are the one who become enlightened. But that is a result of being able to listen to the teachings in thousands and thousands of lives, many lives in the past. You have heard it and you had it in your memory, that is karma. Karmically, you have heard it so many times, it is in your system. When you hear it from the Buddha, it maybe we feel like it is new, but it's not new. We have heard this so many times before. And some people say, oh, I know I have heard this somewhere before. Maybe you have heard it many thousands of lives ago. Maybe you have been listening to this teaching so many times in the past, you have been contemplating on it. And in this new life, you hear it from the Buddha or the Dhamma teacher, and you immediately know, why I see this, I understand this clearly. So you feel good about it. And that understanding immediately change your lifestyle, change your behavior, change your personality. change your feelings, change the way you look at the world. Because something that you have been thinking all this time, by listening to this one talk given by the Buddha, one talk given by the Dhamma teacher, things become very clear to you immediately, and that's how you change our lives. Therefore, when the Buddha's teaching is given, taught by Dhamma teachers in different parts of the world, like in Sri Lanka, like in Thailand, like in Burma, you listen to so many Dhamma talks, it is common. And sometimes you may not really understand what the teacher talk about, but instead of becoming disgusted about it, joyfully listen to the talk is a good thing. Sometimes you may not understand it, but you heard it, and whatever you heard with interest is retained in the mind. If you listen to the talk without having any interest or paying attention, it will not remain in your memory. Even if you don't understand, if you listen to it with some interest, that's the only thing that goes to the memory. Therefore, Buddha's teaching is very subtle and deep. For example, when you say dukkha exists, what the Buddha see as dukkha in any of our lives, your life or my life, is totally different from the dukkha that you and I understand. Because Buddha sees that life is so unfortunate and sad thing to happen, and how these people are suffering because they are just alive, because they don't understand what is going on. But the Buddha's understanding of suffering and your understanding and my understanding of suffering are way too different, because our understanding of life is so poor. For example, when somebody tell you life is not that beautiful, then you would start thinking, no, how could it not be beautiful? I have my wife, I have my children, I have my family, I have my home, I have my vehicle, I live a good life, I have food anytime I want, and I have ability to get things done. So I don't think life is that bad. But if we look at the life with prajna is a style of seeing, is a development of our understanding that shows you the subtler things that we normally don't see. I look at my life and everything is beautiful. But if you look at life from prajna, we see the subtle other characteristic, other part of the nature of life, which are not obvious to anyone who look at life without having this tool of prajna. It's called eye of prajna. Buddha talked about 3 different type of eyes. Fleshly eye, the regular eye that you and I have. Divine eye. When you meditate to a certain level, at a certain level of meditation called jhanas, you develop another part of the brain that is very sharp and active. So with this part of the brain, you can use this eye and see things that we normally don't see. That's called extension of the eye, extrasensory perception. Now the person who had been meditating and training the mind to be calmer and more focused, you get to the point that part of the brain become active in a way that you can see things that normal eye cannot see. You can hear things that normal eye cannot hear. For example, you can close your eyes and calm your mind and focus your ear and hear things that happen 3,000-4,000 miles away. That's called Dibba Sota, divine ear, divine eye, divine ear. These are brain-related tools that anyone can develop. But you are hearing only what is taught, what is heard, what is talk, what the sound was made there. That's the only sound that you hear. So if there's no sound, for example, when you turn on your radio, you only hear what the people in the other end says in your radio. The person who have divine ear is exactly the same. So some person is talking in Washington or New York or someplace, and you pay attention to that sound, that discussion using the tool of divine ear, and then you can hear exactly what they're talking about, what is said. And even the television is a divine eye-like thing. Divine eye person who has divine eye can see exactly what is happening, just like you use a tool called television and see. So these are some things that for even telescope or microscope or things like that, these are tools that like radio and television, but mind can be developed to get the same information for us. That's called Dibba Chakku. Mansa Chakku, Mansa Chakku, the fleshly eye. Dibba Chakku is the divine eye. Then Panya Chakku is totally different from Dibba Chakku. Panya Chakku is something that is the eye that is very sharp. You see, when this and this and this and this exists, this exists. So you see the cause and effect relationship of things is called, it's been seen through the Panya Chakku. So with the Panya Chakku, if you look at life, you can see, yes, of course, there's a lot of excitement in life, as long as your family is there, as long as your house is there, as long as your other things are there, and it is very beautiful. But if you take the total life, the frustration that you experience, the pain that you experience, physical pain and mental pain and worries that you experience in the same one life, when you compare the excitement and the pain and frustration and fear, you begin to see excitement is so small and negligible. So small and negligible. That's nothing compared to the frustrations and fears and worries and pains that comes in the same package of life. At that time, the person who has the eye of wisdom, one way to develop eye of wisdom is listening to Dhamma. When you listen to the Dhamma, you develop eye of wisdom. You begin to see things that you never saw before, because you have given some thinking tools during the Dhamma talk. You received so many different tools to think differently, and then as a result, you develop Panya Chakku, eye of wisdom. So you see a little bit by listening to Dhamma, but that's only a little bit, no? What the Buddha saw as suffering, we see a little bit by listening to more and more Dharma, but actually you see it so clearly when the Panya, when the wisdom is cultivated directly through your own calmness and proper experience of looking at things in detail. When you use focus, when you use calmness, you see things detail that we don't normally see. And that seeing more detail help us to develop more wisdom, more prajna. Wisdom is not a good word, but it's a helpful word. So insight is another word that we use for prajna. Prajna is your brain's ability to see things that people normally don't see, but it is there. It's not that you see that is not there. When you look at look through the microscope at the virus, if the virus is there, you can see the virus. Just like that, we're using the eye of wisdom. You are not seeing something that is not there. You see that is something really there. That is why in Buddhism we call it seeing things as they really are. Yatha bhuta jnana dassana. Yatha bhuta means things as they really are, or proper translation, things as they come to be, constantly changing, constantly arriving, constantly going away, and seeing new things happening again and again. So that's called yatha bhuta. For example, when the frustration is arising, you see when the frustration is arising. When the excitement is arising, you see it is arising. And when it's going away, you see the frustration is going away. That's called seeing things as they come to be. That's one way to translate the Yatha Bhuta Jnana Darsana is called what you see is through your wisdom. By listening to Dhamma, you develop wisdom for some extent, but that is not good enough. That will help you to guide you to or generate your interest to practice more calmness, mean meditation. And when the calmness is cultivated, your ability to see things in detail, mean calmness is focus, just like your camera lens is focus, you see much more detail of the flower or the feather of the bee or something because you're more focused. Normal eye cannot see, but after you enlarge that picture, you can see the beautiful detail of the feather of the little bee or the hair that is coming out of his mouth. You can see so clearly, and how it is made and the design and all that because of the detail. Just like that, the same focus is used to look at life, family life, and work situation, life at work, life at family, life at regular day. So you see more things that you normally don't see, which make you think differently about life. So that help you to practice more Dhamma and listen to more Dhamma, because every step of the way you feel some comfort. When you see the danger, so this asada means joy of life, adinama is the perils of life, negative side of the life. Asada, adinama, nissarana. Nissarana means you start changing, going to a different spot, different place. Nissarana means letting go. So you let go of certain things, and then you begin to see the weight of the life is getting reduced, and life is becoming easier. And then you want to see more, you want to understand more, and then you also see that life is becoming even more easier. And that's the way it works. And ultimately, all these enlightened people, like the Buddhas and all the other perfect human beings, we are called Sotapanna, Sakadagami, Anagamin, and Arahant. Those enlightened people have gone through the same process step by step, and finally became free from all suffering and frustrations and fears. And in today's topic, we didn't discuss enough, but how our sensory organs and outside objects of sensory organs affect our lives is the discussion. So when you cultivate wisdom, more and more prajna, you begin to see the process of our behavior. For example, when I see something, my eye, chakkuncha, paticca rupecha, object, I see an object. That object may be some flower or some person or something that happened, something that is happening. So object does not always mean just a static object. Whatever you see, if the car is having an accident, you see that's an object. If a person is singing, that's an object. So visual object. The eye and what you see state at one time, then chakku vijnana arise, eye consciousness arise. Chakkuncha paticca rupecha chakku vijnana. When the eye and the object of seeing is together, eye consciousness arise. That means the consciousness begin to see that I am seeing and that I am seeing. It's the one. I consciousness is I am seeing. And then ear consciousness is always open. My ear is always open. My eyes is open to see anything. My ear is open to hear anything. My nose is open to smell anything. So tinnang sangati passo, when the eye, visual object, and visual consciousness, three things, when these three things come together, tinnang sangati passo. Passa means contact. So the eye, in the consciousness did not arise while you seeing the image, the picture, while you hearing the sound, while you smelling the nose. If the consciousness did not arise, there's no three things. In the eye is there, object is there, by my eye consciousness did not arise. As soon as this happen, you develop contact. That's how it happened. My eye and the object exist and my consciousness arise. Tinnang sangati, when all these three things together is called contact. Now I see. I am contacting what I see. I contacted what I heard. Tinnang sangati passo. That's contact. Passa pacca vedana. When the contact comes, now I start feeling. Vedana, sensation. Yang vedeti tang sanjanati. Oh, this is a beautiful thing. Oh, this is something very unpleasant. This is something very dangerous. Sanjanati, you recognize. What you see is not a very good thing. What you see is a beautiful thing. What you see is some repulsive thing. So, sanjanati. Yang sanjanati, tang vitakketi. Now you see, wow, what if this come close to me? Oh, I wish I can go there and touch this. Start thinking. Logically thinking. this is a beautiful sound, or this is not a good sound, or this may be a sound that is very dangerous. Maybe there's an animal who is going to attack me right in the other side of the bush. So be careful. All these thoughts are arising because of the contact of the sound. Eye, the ear, sound, contact, consciousness, and now vitakka, meaning, wow, maybe snake. Maybe there's a snake on the side of the tree. So now maybe this person is coming, and I see he's having a gun in there in his waist. Maybe he's dangerous. Maybe he's harmful. Oh wow, she's coming to see me. Maybe he's bringing a piece of cake for me. Nice, beautiful cake. So you're thinking all these things. And based on your thinking, also you call it papancha. Yang vitakketi tam papancheti. Remember, you hear a little sound like that, and you started thinking, maybe there's a snake. Maybe there's a venomous snake. Maybe there's a viper, or the cobra is a king cobra, maybe. So maybe you are papancheti. You create ideas in your mind. When you see the cake, wow, I hope it is a chocolate cake. And then you start papancha. And so based on your papancha, you create images constantly. How long does this take? From the time your eye and object come together and consciousness arose, and now you are thinking about it negatively or positively, or whatever the ways that you are thinking. How long does this whole process take? Less than a second. Less than a second it happened to you. And now what happened? Now if you saw that person, rough person carrying a gun coming to you, and you immediately become defensive and immediately take an action, immediately look for another weapon from your side, another gun or something. That's a reaction. Or if it's a piece of cake that person is bringing, and the saliva is coming to your mouth, and you are getting ready to have it on your table, and start looking for thinking of a knife and pork and plate and all these things, and all reaction is coming. But how do we know? We don't know. All these things are happening. We don't know. We saw the thing, and we think we know, but we don't know. Many thousands of things happen between the seeing and your reaction to it. Many things happen. So based on your papancha means your manifold thinking. Based on manifold thinking, you generate fear, or you generate affection, you generate hate, you generate interest. Whatever the thing that you generate, you don't even know that was generated and how it was generated. This is all called ignorance in Buddhism. Not knowing what is happening. But if you have wisdom, you see the whole process from the beginning in slow motion. This happened in second or millisecond. Within millisecond, this whole thing happened. and you are almost ready to get another gun and shoot that person. None of these things you are aware, because your wisdom is not in operation. When the wisdom is not in operation, Buddha call it ignorance, avidya, moha, confusion, or not even confusion. It's not a good not knowing what is happening. Anyway, so this is how our life goes throughout the whole life, from the day one to the day that you die. Even dying, while you are dying, these things are constantly going on, fear and frustration and being able, thinking of loss. I'm going to lose my family, I'm going to lose my property. All these things are going on even at the deathbed. And then you are going to be born again and continue to go through the same thing. What is the thing that is there? No wisdom means if the mind is not very sharp and seeing the detail, then this keep happening and happening and happening without any control. If you have the ability to see them, then there is a better control. I am getting upset. No, I should not be getting upset. Oh, I am getting scared. No, I should not be scared. So if you see the fear is coming, you can face it. Not necessarily block it, but face it and deal with it properly. And then the ways to deal with it also derived from wisdom, when the wisdom is there. So this is basically knowing about how life works all through the life. So the more wisdom you have, better control of your emotions, because the fear and all that things, anger and love and affection, all arise when you are not watching. When you are watching, those things, when you are watching means your wisdom is open, active, those things don't happen. How can I know? How can you know? How can anyone know? You try to use the proper techniques that is taught by the Buddha to develop wisdom, and you keep developing your wisdom, including starting from listening to the Dhamma, but directly seeing for yourself. And with this wisdom, all those constant flood of emotions can be controlled, can be seen, and can be avoided. So if the emotion does not arise, that is because you avoid arising the emotion. So the emotion was not arisen, the action related to or reaction related to that emotion does not happen. So in our lives, we constantly react to things. From the day that we are born until the day that we die, we constantly react to things. But anyone who is like the Buddha would never react to things, but they respond to things efficiently and correctly. All enlightened people. So even if I think I am a wiser person, I have a little bit more prajna, panya, more wisdom than before, That means my reaction is slightly reduced. So I don't get into constant conflict, either hate or love. You're going to get into a conflict. So those conflicts can be reduced if my wisdom is developed at least a little. So therefore, paying attention to what we go through in our life closely help us to develop eye of wisdom. That development of eye of wisdom help us to develop more eye of wisdom, and then we see more things correctly and as they really happening or really are. Then we develop more sharper wisdom, and in the end we become enlightened like the Buddha himself. But all the techniques of doing this is taught in Buddhism. Eightfold Path is the technique of developing wisdom, panya. Sati is mindfulness. Mindfulness is part of wisdom. And samadhi is part of wisdom. And our SIL is part of wisdom. Our samma vacha is part of wisdom. When we keep cultivating all this, right effort is a part of wisdom, and right way of seeing things is a part of wisdom. And when these things are cultivated, more wisdom we develop, much more comfort we can experience in our lives gradually. And more wisdom we have, more comfort we have. And if the wisdom is developed to the fullest, then our comfort is developed to the 100%. So that is what we call achievement of enlightenment. It's a long ways, but step-by-step practice is called Buddha's teachings. Anupubba Sikha. Anupubba Sikha means gradual education, gradual training. Anupubba Sikha, Anupubba Kiriya, Anupubba Patipada. Anupubba Sikha means gradual training. Gradually you do things. Kiriya means, action, gradual actions. When you do first thing, then you can do second thing a little bit easier. So step-by-step practice. So as we are sitting and listening to a Dhamma talk today on full moon day, it's a one little small step, and that small step help you to take another small step. So those small steps are the one that is taken by the Buddha millions of kalpas ago, and he ultimately achieved the ultimate Buddhahood. All enlightened people has been taking these little small steps, and finally they became enlightened, and enlightened means became completely free from all this pushing back and forth by our own behavior. our own emotions, and so they experience complete freedom. What are the other things that they experience? They experience the fact that you are not going to be reborn again and again and again and going through the same frustration again and again, and that is the end of samsara. It's also happening at the same time when they cultivated ultimate wisdom to the fullest, and that is our goal of all of us. But all of us who are sitting here observing precept, even if we don't follow the precept, even if you don't try to meditate, at least we start the first step of meditation, just sitting, just being quiet. That's the first step, will help you to go to the next step. So that is what you call practice. So Dhamma listening is very helpful, and today you heard a little bit of Dhamma. Little bit of Dhamma means little bit of how life works. It's not my life or his life or her life or your life, but everyone's life is life. This is the basic structure of a life, and this life works exactly the same way, and that's why Buddha could find the real nature of life, and he helped everybody to understand life because everybody has the exact same life. Then Dharma works for everyone exactly the same way. So today we have a short moment of thinking about how life works, and this is only a little encouragement for us to cultivate more focus, because without focus we cannot see detail. So Buddha had spent so much time explaining the details. That is why listening to Dhamma become very helpful, because Buddha had done a wonderful service for all of us by teaching the Dhamma, and that is why we are so lucky that by listening and learning the Dhamma, only us who are Buddhist get the opportunity. But another way to say it, not just because we are Buddhist, just because we are exposed to the Buddha, exposed to the Dhamma, exposed to the Sangha. In other words, we are able to hear the teachings of the Buddha, we are able to hear about the Buddha, we are here the teachings of the Buddha, we are here the people, about the people who had learned from the Buddha and cultivated Dhamma and achieved perfection, that is Sangha. We know Buddha, we know Dhamma, we know Sangha. With that knowledge, we have some encouragement to understand more Dhamma and practice more Dhamma, and that's only few of us out of the millions of people in the world, and we are the only people who are actually being able to free from this illness called dukkha. Dukkha is an illness. The freedom, when they translated dukkha, the word dukkha a few years ago by British people in England, all the Buddha's teaching were translated. They used the word illness. dukkha. So this illness that we all have, only few of us are the people who are capable of freeing ourselves from this illness and be completely free from all suffering and all pains that comes with the illness. And these are few thoughts of Dhamma that for today. And I think because we invited the Devas, let us transfer merit to all the Devas for being able to attend and to listen to the Dhamma. And let us recite the Gatha to release the Devas from the Dhamma talk. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu loka sasanang. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu desanang. Akasatta ca bummatta devanaga mahiddhika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkantu no sada. Now break time is already over. Maybe if you need to go to the restroom or something, you can go and come back and sit. Meanwhile, we try to sit in meditation for 15 minutes or 30 minutes. Okay, so you take a short break and then we begin in 5 minutes. Okay, you may be sitting on the floor, you may be sitting on a chair. It doesn't matter where you sit. Most important thing is to keep your back straight so your blood will flow into the brain easily. And let us put our palms on our lap and try to relax our muscles and our body as much as we can. The more you relax our limbs like hands or legs and another part of the body, muscles, we also become able to see that those parts of the body does not exist. When you relax, you don't feel they exist. So let us try to relax as much as possible. And you can let your facial muscles tightness go and relax. Very lightly close our eyes. Try to relax all your muscles to the point that you don't feel they exist. We have been breathing normally. Don't try to regulate the breath. Just naturally breathe. Let's be aware of each breath that is being inhaled, that is being exhaled. Now we mindfully breathe in, mindfully breathe out. Dukkhapatta nidukkha bhayapatta nibbhaya sokapatta nissoka antu sabbe pipaninu dukkhapatta nidukkha bhayapatta nibbhaya sokapatta nissoka antu sabbe pipaninu dukkhapatta nidukkha bhayapatta nibbhaya sokapatta nissoka antu sabbe pipaninu. May all beings who are experiencing suffering be free from their suffering. May all those beings who are experiencing fear be free from their fear. May all beings who are experiencing grief and sadness be free from their grief and sadness. May all beings be happy. May all beings be well. Now the offerings to the Buddha is ready. In few minutes we join the Buddha Puja hour. Today's dana is offered by Kamini and Asoka Bandaranaika, and you can also participate in offering. If you have any Buddha Puja prepared, you can also offer it to the Buddha at home. Otherwise, you can join us with offerings to the Buddha, and we recite gathas and together. Now the Buddha Puja is almost ready. Huh? Tipiso bhagava araham samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisadhammasarati Sattva-deva manussanam buddho bhagavati iti-piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisadhammasarati sattva-deva manussanam buddho bhagavati iti-piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisadhammasarati sattva-deva manussanam buddho bhagavati iti-piso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisadhammasarati sattva-deva manussanam buddho bhagavati මල්ලිකා විජේතිලක කවුද? ධම්මිකා. මගේ හොඳම යාළුවා ඒ දෙන්න රත්නගිරි බැංකුවේ චාමන් ඉස්ලාමගත්තේ රත්නගිරි මහත්තයා.
අපිට සහෝදරයෝ වගේ හාමුදුරනේ එකයි දුක කියන්නේ. අපි ගියාම ලංකාවට කොච්චර ෆැමිලි එක හිටියත් ඉන්නේ ඒගොල්ලෝගේ ගෙදර. එහෙමයි හාමුදුරනේ. හරියට ඒගොල්ලෝ පින්දහම් කෙරුවා. පන්සල් වලට උදව් කරනවා. පත් මිනිස්සු ගෙවල් හදලා දෙනවා. ඉතින් වෙලාව ආවම ඉතින් කාටවත් ඔච්චරයි තමයි ඉතින්.
මේක හොඳට පින් කරලා නැති වෙච්ච කට්ටියනේ.
ඒක තමයි හාමුදුරනේ. මේ සෑනසීම තියෙනවා.
මේක තමයි. नमस्कार क्या फ्रांसिस समाधान नमो तस्मै भगवतो वरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्से नमो तस्मै भगवतो वरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्से नमो तस्मै भगवतो वरहतो सम्मा सम्बुद्धस्से
බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒ ුතියම්පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒ ුතියම්පි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි ဒ ුතියම්පි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි තතියම්පි බුද්ධං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි තතියම්පි ධම්මං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි තතියම්පි සංඝං සරණං ගච්ඡාමි පාණාතිපාතා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි අදින්නාදානා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි කාමේසු මිච්ඡාචාරා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි මුසාවාදා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි සුරාමේරය මජ්ජපමා දට්ඨානා වේරමණී සික්ඛාපදං සමාදියාමි
This morning, Asoka and Kamini, although they are sad at this moment, also should be very happy for being able to prepare this wonderful meal for the Buddha and the Sangha, together with the flowers, candles, incense and others. Thinking about one of their good friends, Mrs. Dhammika Vijayatilaka. Mrs. Dhammika Vijayatilaka, who passed away a few days ago. And they have been very close to your family. But in a day like today, on a full moon day of Medin, exact full moon day is today. And we should be thinking about the actual nature of impermanence. We have our loved ones, our family members and our relatives, and many other material things that we love. But it is the common nature of all these things to experience change. We have it for a short time, and soon we don't have it anymore. And then again, it is important to remember, as long as we think that this is me and mine and us, the loss is always supposed to happen. If we don't think that this is mine, this friend is mine, this property is mine, when they change, when they are gone, you don't feel the shock that much. And that is what we should be cultivating in our mind, the ability to take the shock of the loss by seeing the impermanence, by seeing the suffering that is generated by the attachment. And the attachment means thinking that it is me, mine, and that should be slowly let go of. And this is a great opportunity for us to think about anicca, dukkha, and anatta. But most importantly, until we live in this samsara, it is common that we lose our family members, our relatives, our loved ones. But at a time like this, as Buddhists, what we can do is to generate merit in our hearts and our minds first, and share that merit with them, the deceased, expecting them to be happier and joyful, and also to be reborn in a place where they can practice Dhamma and learn Dhamma and cultivate good deeds and finally attain Nibbana. Therefore, we generate merit for ourselves first and we share it with the deceased. In this case, Kamini and Asoka should be very happy for being able to share the merit that you generate through offering to the Buddha and offering to the Sangha. Share it with Mrs. Dhammika Vijayatilaka, hoping by receiving that merit, she will be able to increase her comfort wherever they may be born at this time. As we heard, she has been practicing dana, she had been practicing sila to the highest possible level when they are alive. When at a time like this, we should be able to expect them to be reborn in a happy place where they don't need anybody's help because they have generated their own help. So we hope that Mrs. Dhammika Vijayatilaka is born in a happy place, but in case, by the power of the merit that we are generating, by receiving the merit that we are generating, may she be able to free from all difficulties, but most importantly, may she be able to free from the cycle of constant life and death that generates suffering constantly, and finally attain Nibbana. Besides Mrs. Dhammika Vijayaratna, it is also important to think of Uncle Ron and Uncle Sita, Auntie Sita, who passed away a few years ago, and other family members of Bandaranaike family, and all the other family members of all of you who are participating in this retreat and participating in this Buddha Puja. should be thinking of your own family members and friends also who are no longer alive and share the merit with them for them to be happy and joyful. But before you share the merit, it is important to fill up your heart and your minds with a lot of positive energy by paying attention to the virtues of the Buddha and the paying attention to the offering that we are doing to offering for the Buddha, Dhamma and the Sangha. And then your heart become filled up with positive energy, and we have enough positive energy. We have enough merit for us, in us, to share with all other family members and relatives and friends who are no longer with us. With these thoughts in our mind, thinking of the virtues of the Buddha, let us recite the gathas to dedicate all these offerings to the Buddha first, and later on we transfer merit to our deceased relatives. Itipiso bhagava arahang samma sambuddho vidyacharana sampanno sugato lokavidu anuttaro purisa dhammasarati satta deva manussanam buddho bhagavati Sakato Bhagavata Dhammo Sanditthiko Akaliko Ehipassiko Opanayiko Pacchattam Veditabbo Vinnyohiti Supatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Ujupatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Nyayapatipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Samiti Patipanno Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Yadidam Chattari Purisa Yugani Atta Purisa Puggala Esa Bhagavato Savaka Sangho Pahuneyo Pahuneyo Dakkineyo Anjali Karaniyo Anuttaram Punyakettam Lokasani Vandami Chetiyam Sabbam Sabbatani Supatittitam Saririka Dhatu Mahabodhim Buddha Rupam Sakalam Sada Yasya mule nisinno sabbari vijayam naka patto sabbanyatang satta vandetang bodhipadapam Ganasarapadittena dipena tamadang sina Ilokadipang sambuddhang pujayami tamonudang Sugandikaya vadanang ananta gunagandina Sugandina angandena pujayami tathagatam Vannagandha gunopetang etang kusuma santating Pujayami munindassa siripada saruruhe Pujemi buddhang kusumena nena punyena metena cehotu mokkang Uppang milayati yatai dhamme kayo tatayati vinasa bhavang adivasetu no bante පරිකම්පිතං අනුකම්පං උපාදාය පතිගන්නාතු මුත්තම අදිවාසේතුනෝ බන්තේ භූජනං පරිකම්පිතං අනුකම්පං උපාදාය පතිගන්නාතු මුත්තම අදිවාසේතුනෝ බන්තේ ගිලාන පච්චයං ඉමං අනුකම්පං උපාදාය පතිගන්නාතු මුත්තම කායේන වාචා චිත්තේන පමාදේන මයා කතං අච්චයං කමමේ බන්තේ පුරි පඤ්ඤා තථාගත. This morning, Kamini and Asoka has a very important object in their mind. Therefore, they prepared the meal together with the flowers, candles, incense, and other things to the Buddha. Now it is the time to dedicate all the wonderful meal to the infinite number of great sages of the past, present, and the future. According to the Buddhist custom, there should be 4 monks to dedicate the food or anything to the Sangha. But in a foreign place where there is no monks available, Buddha has allowed us to dedicate the offering to the Sangha even with 1 or 2 monks. Therefore, let us think of all the virtues of the all enlightened beings who are Sotapanna, who attain Sotapannahood, Sakadagami, Anagami, and Arhant, all those enlightened beings. All the food that you prepared, we are dedicating to these wonderful enlightened monks and nuns and all other men and women and children. And by doing so, you generate so much more merit for yourself together with the offerings done to the Buddha. And then we will have much more merit to share with our deceased family members and relatives. Therefore, let us recite the Gatha to dedicate all the offerings to the Mahasanga by following this Gatha. Please repeat after me. Saparikkarang imam bhikkang bhikkhu sanghassa dema. Saparikkarang imam bhikkang bhikkhu sanghassa dema. Saparikkarang imam bhikkang bhikkhu sanghassa dema. Iccitang patitam tuyang kipameva samijjatu sabbe purandu citta sankappa chando pannarasiyata ayurarogya sampatti sagga sampatti mevacha ato nibbana sampatti iminate samijjatu. Sanramara lokasami අපභාග්‍යවත් තමාමෑණී බුදු පියාණන් වහන්සේ උදෙසා ප්‍රථම කොට පිරිසිදු බුද්ධ පූජාව පවත්වන තුරුව මහසගරුවන් විශේෂයි දන් පිළිගැන්වීමෙන් ලබන ලද්දා වූ සකල කුසල පුණ්‍ය සම්භාර ධර්මයන් ප්‍රථම කොටම ඉන්ද්‍රෝපේන්ද්‍රාදී සමස්ත දිව්‍ය රාජ සමූහයා විසින් පින්පරුවක් වශයෙන් අනුමෝදන් වනු ලබත්වා ඉන් අනුමෝදිත දෙවියන්ගේ දිව්‍ය තේජානුභාවයෙන් බුද්ධාදී රත්නත්‍රයාගේ ගුණානුභාව බලයෙන් දෙමෙම සකල ශ්‍රද්ධාවත් සත්පුරුෂාදීන්ට
යාත්මභාවේ කිවන්නා වූ සකලාන්තරාය සර්ව උපද්‍රවයන් හිරුතුටු ගනාදුරුසයෙන් විහත විද්වංසනය කෙරේවා ඒ ඇරත්තා ඇති භවයන් නිවන්නා වූ සතරාපායාදී දුක්ඛයන්ට කිසියම්ම කාලයකවත්න පැමිණ චාතුර්මහා රාජිකාදී සදිව්‍යලෝකයන් දිව්‍ය සම්පත්තා මනුස්්‍යලෝකේ උතුම් සබ සම්පත් විනිමින් කල්ලවන කල්ලි මතුවනාගත කාලයට තුන්ලෝ බගුළුවා පහලවී වදාරනු ලබන්නා වූ මිත්‍රමෛත්‍රීය සම්මා සම්බුදුපියාණන් වහන්සේ විසින් දේශනා කරුණු ලබන්නා වූ චතුරාර්ය සත්‍ය ප්‍රකාශිත මීරියූසී සද්ධර්මශ්‍රවණය කිරීමෙන් සෝවාන් ආදීමාර්ග පල පිළිවෙලින් ප්‍රත්‍යක්ෂ කටයුතුයේ අමුෘතමහා නිර්වාණ සම්පත්තිය මෙමදානයන් නියාන සංසයෙන් තමතමන්ට හා තමතමන් නමින් මිය පරලොවගිය ඥාතුවර්ගයාත් ඇතුළු සෑම සියලු දෙනාහට එකම සද්ධර්ම මණ්ඩපේ කිදීම සාක්ෂාත් කර ගැනීමට ලැබේවායි සිතා සාදර සිතින් යුක්තව පින් අනුමෝදන් විය යුතු.
All of us have generated so much positive energy through dana, through sila, and through contemplation of the mind bhavana. So now we are very rich in terms of merit for ourselves, and this is the time to think of our deceased family members, especially today. Mrs. Mallika Vijayatilaka, that is a friend of Asoka and Kamini, a close family member, a close friend. And just like I mentioned earlier, we have to think of Uncle Ron and Auntie Sita and other family members also. And let us transfer the merit by pouring the water into the empty vessel, just like the empty vessel is filling up. May their minds be filled up with positive energy, and may they be completely happy and joyful, and may they be overflowed by joy and happiness as a result of receiving the merit that we are sharing with them at this moment. With these thoughts in our mind, let us transfer the water to the big vessel, to the empty vessel, reciting gathas. අපි සකත් බුද්ධ පූජාවෙන් ලබාගත්තා වූ සාංගික දානයෙන් ලබාගත්තා වූ සියලුම පින් අපි විශේෂයෙන් සිහිපත් කරන ධම්මිකා විජයතිලක මහත්මියටත් ඒ වගේම අපේ පවුල්වල අනිකුත් සියලුම නෑදෑහිත මිත්‍රාදීන් හැමදෙනාටම අනුමෝදන් කරමු. අනුමෝදන් වෙත්වා මේ පින් අනුමෝදන් වීමෙන් ඒ අයගේ ජීවිත වාසනාවන්ත කරගනිත්වා. අවසානයේහි ඒ හැම දෙනෙක්ම උතුම් වූ නිර්වාණ සම්පත්තියම සාක්ෂාත් කර ගැනීමට මේ පින් උපකාර කර ගනිත්වා කියලා හිතාගෙන දැන් පෙම් වාදන අරගෙන පෙම් වඩන්න. ධම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ ඉදම්මේ ඥාතිනං හෝතු සුඛිතා හොන්තු ඥාතයෝ යථාවාරිවා පුරා පරිපූර්ණන්ති සාගරං ඒවමේව ඊතෝ දින්නම් පේතානං උපගප්පති උන්නමේ උදකං වට්ටං යථා නින්නම් පවත්තති ඒවමේව ඊතෝ දින්නම් පේතානං උපගප්පති ඉච්ඡිතං පත්තිතං තුයං කිප්පමේව සමිජ්ජතු සබ්බේ පුරන්තු චිත්ත සංකප්පා චන්දෝ පන්න රසෝ යතා මනුජ්‍යෝති රසෝ යතා. Also let us share the merit with all the devas, thinking by receiving the merit, may they be happy and joyful, and in return may they bring additional protection to our children and our family members and ourselves. And may all those devas also be able to attain Nibbana finally by the help of the merit that we are sharing with them also. With these thoughts in our mind, let us recite the Gatha Akasattaja Bhummanta. ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු ලෝක සාසනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු දේශනං ආකාසට්ටා ච බුම්මට්ටා දේවා නාග මහිද්దికා පුඤ්ඤන්තං අනුමෝදිත්වා චිරං රක්ඛන්තු නෝ සදා. Also, let us make the aspiration, thinking by the power of the merit that we have been generating, not only in this life but every life that we are going to be born in the future until we attain ultimate peace, which is Nibbana. May we always have good people to associate as our parents and family members and friends and relatives and associates. May we always be able to stay away from unfortunate, unwise people who bring misery, discomfort, and frustration and fears to our lives. With these thoughts in our mind, let us recite the Gatha, Emina Punya Kammena. Emina Punya Kammena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya. Emina Punya Kammena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya. Emina Punya Kammena Mame Bala Samagamo Satang Samagamo Hotu Yava Nibbana Pattiya. Sadhu, 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 sadhu. Put the vendor. महाकारुणिको नाथो हिताय सब्बपालिनं पूरयित्वा पारमी सब्बा पत्तो सम्बोधिमुत्तमं एतेन सत्यवद्येन होतु ते जय मङ्गलं जयन्तो बोधियामूले सख्यानं नन्दिवर्धनो एवं तुय्यं जयो होतु जयत्सु जय मङ्गलं सक्कत्वा बुद्धरत्नं ओषधं उत्तमं वरं इतं देव मनुष्याणां बुद्ध तेजेन सुत्तिना नस्सन्तु बद्धवा सब्बे दुःखा उपगमिन्तु ते सक्कत्वा धम्मरत्नं औषधं उत्तमं वरं परिलाहोपशमनं धम्म तेजेन सुत्तिना नस्सन्तु बद्धवा सब्बे भया उपगमिन्तु ते सक्कत्वा संघरत्नं औषधं उत्तमं वरं पावनेयं पावनेयं संगतेजेन सुत्तिना नस्सन्तु बद्धवा सब्बे रोगा उपशमन्तु ते अंकिञ्च रत्नं लोके विद्यति विविधा पुतुरत्नं बुद्धसमन्नति तस्मा सुत्ति भवन्तु ते अंकिञ्च रत्नं लोके विद्यति विविधा पुतुरत्नं धम्म समन्नति तस्मा सुत्ति भवन्तु ते अंकिञ्च रत्नं लोके विद्यति विविधा पुतुरत्नं संघ समन्नति तस्मा सुत्ति भवन्तु ते नास्ति मे शरणं अन्यं बुद्धो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सत्यवद्येन होतु ते जय मङ्गलं नास्ति मे शरणं अन्यं धम्मो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सत्यवद्येन होतु ते जय मङ्गलं नास्ति मे शरणं अन्यं संघो मे शरणं वरं एतेन सत्यवद्येन होतु ते जय මංගලං සබ්බීතියෝ විවජ්ජන්තු සබ්බ රෝගෝ විනස්සතු මාතේ භවත්වන්තරායෝ සුඛී දීඝායුකෝ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ බුද්ධානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ ධම්මානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ භවතු සබ්බ මංගලං රක්ඛන්තු සබ්බ දේවතා සබ්බ සංඝානුභාවේන සදා සොත්ති භවන්තු තේ නක්ඛත්ථයක්ඛ භූතානම් පාපග්ගා නිවාරණං පරිත්තස්සානුභාවේන හන්තු තේ සංඋපද්දවේ සබ්බේ බුද්ධා බලප්පත්තා පච්චේකානං ච යම් බලං අරහන්තානං ච තේජේන රක්ඛං බන්ධාමි සබ්බසෝ අශෝකලටයි අවින්දලටයි ඔක්කොටම ආරක්ෂාව සැලසේවා ජය වේවා මිනිපිරියටයි
අපිට මිනිපිරිය දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා තව එක්කෙනෙක් මේ අවුරුද්දේ
අතද
අවින්දගේ වයිෆ් ඇෂ්ලිට ජුලයි මාසේ
හොඳයිනේ
ඔක්කොම ගෑනු ළමයි අශෝක්ට දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවා
අශෝක දෙන්නෙක් ඉන්නවද
එහෙමයි නාන්දරනේ
හරි අශෝකටත් මට වගේම තමයි නේද
යාට දනියේ
සෙලු කටිස්සර දනිය තමයි මගේ තියෙන්නේ
ඔව් ඒක නිකන්
අර මේ
එළියට දානවා
ග්ලූකෝස් මින් ගන්න
හම්බුනේ ඒක ග්ලූකෝස් මින් ගත්තයි කියලා
එළියට දැන්
ඔබ කොහොම පිට මරන් යන්න බාර දොර අර
ග්ලූකෝස් මින් ගන්න හම්බුනේ එනකොට ඉතින් පොඩ්ඩක් මේන්ටේන් වෙනවා පොඩ්ඩක් හරියන්නේ නැහැ
දැන් එහෙනම් බුද්ධ පූජාව අවසానයි හැම දිනෙකම දානේ වළඳන්න අපි දානේ වළඳනවා දැන් ගිහිල්ලා සාන්ත හාමුදුරුවෝ එකයි කාලට ධර්ම දේශනාව සඳහා පැමිණෙනවා. The Sinhalese Dhamma talk will begin at 1:15 by Bhante Shanta, and then we will have a short break, and 2:30 we will have the Dhamma discussion. If you still have any question to be discussed, please email it to us during the lunch break, and wish you good health, and we will see you in few minutes again around 1:15. Thank you.